I started my job as the marketing manager for the San Diego History Center on February 24th, 2020. I was excited to be a part of a team that would elevate the history of my hometown, tell the stories of its challenges and successes, its flaws and its beauty. I was excited to be able to tell the stories of San Diego's heroes and game changers. My very first day on the job, I said to my new boss, we need to keep monitoring this issue with the coronavirus. I think I had a gut feeling that the situation was something different. It was something that was going to be like nothing we had faced before. Nothing like earthquakes or wildfires. Nothing like economic downturns or social justice protests. And indeed, 3 weeks later, while sitting in a meeting, we received word that the World Health Organization had declared the coronavirus a pandemic. And closely thereafter, we received word that many of the local school districts were switching to online learning. Well, that changed things. The physical doors of our museums in Balboa Park and Presidio Park closed to the public. Our teams, who primarily had been focused on welcoming guests into our physical spaces, had to switch to thinking digital first. We started working remotely, meeting every day, struggling with the technology, and not really knowing how long this would be our status quo. We quickly realized a few key challenges. One, we had content that could assist educators and families struggling to navigate a new solar system of distance learning. How do we make that content available to the masses? And how could we make that happen fast? Number two, we had photos of the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic in our photo collection. We had the ability to tell the story of San Diegans' resilience through that world-changing event. But what really came to light for us was that we at the San Diego History Center had the opportunity to capture history happening now, today. We certainly had a mandate to do this based on our organization's mission to preserve and promote the history of our region. But we also really had an obligation to leverage the tools available to us, digital and relational, to capture the insights, reflections, and artifacts of San Diegans living through the coronavirus pandemic, to capture the insights of the history happening now. We launched a website called History Happening Now, Share Your Story. And we invited the public to submit their San Diego perspective of COVID-19 and living through COVID-19. We were amazed by the response. People of all ages, from all backgrounds, representing all parts of San Diego County, were submitting their thoughts on the abrupt shift in their daily lives, their shock about the abrupt closures and quarantine, and their despair about the deadly nature of the virus, their concern for fellow San Diegans, and their pride in our city as we coalesced as a community to protect each other and to support our healthcare workers and frontline responders. For me, what started as a marketing job for 2 museums and beautiful landmarks in the city I love became a passion project to make the history of our city dynamic and personal and reflective of not just what had happened in the past, but what was happening today. This, for me, was a way to ensure that 100 years from now, when San Diegans look back on this coronavirus pandemic, they would not only have photographs, but they would also have oral histories, diaries, journal, art, and artifacts that told a complete story of what our region has dealt with through the coronavirus pandemic, how we evolved to a life that we never asked for and never anticipated, a life of face masks, social distancing, and quarantine, of remote working, remote learning, and remote interaction with family and friends, of isolation and insulation, and also of inspiration as we continue to be amazed by the technology and science involved in understanding the virus, protecting us from the virus, and preventing further spread of the virus. A year later, our focus has expanded to invite the public to see their stories, the stories of their fellow San Diegans migrating through a year of lockdown, of watching COVID case numbers, of mourning those that we'd lost, and preparing for a life post-COVID. At the San Diego History Center a year later, we've learned how much the public wants to be a part of history happening now. They want their voices heard and documented. They want their voices and memories archived for researchers to study. They want what they love about this region captured in their very own words, thoughts, and pictures. And San Diegans to this day continue to submit to the Share Your Story initiative. We're incorporating the concept of collecting history in real time to other initiatives. It's becoming part of our standard operating procedure. We're sharing our learnings with other institutions who have been inspired by this concept and have launched similar initiatives. We have enhanced our permanent collection at one of the most crucial times in the region's history in a way that will become invaluable to future historians and researchers, as well as family and friends looking to this time for stories of resilience, adaptation, and inspiration. What we learned is that history is vibrant and dynamic. It's flexible, nimble, but most importantly, we learned how much San Diegans respect and want to invest in the history happening now, the history happening to them on a daily basis in COVID, and I think post COVID.